And welcome back to another week, another edition of ESL Open Cup Americas, number 197. I'm of course Live VIP, and with me I'm joined by the lovely people in the chat, by my plushies, and by these lovely players as well. !B in the chat if you guys wish to have a look at the bracket yourselves, because the bracket is big, it's stacked, it's beautiful, it's throbbing. It's everything you want in a bracket, and we have our first matchup here for you today. Spawning in the top left hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the red Zerg player representing Starlight Twinkle. It is Wayne. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Canadian Protoss player representing Team Basilisk. It is Trigger. Trigger versus Wayne. Oh my god. Trigger, of course, being one of the best Protoss players in all of North America. I would say top 2 Protoss alongside Estrella in current era of StarCraft, and likewise his opponent is one of the best Zergs that Europe has to offer. Has been definitely on the up and up and one of the rising stars in Europe for a long time. Still has yet to break into the upper echelons. You know, when we think about top European Zergs, we think Serral, we think Raynor, we think maybe a Laser and Lambo alongside them, but just under the 4 of them, that is where I would place Wayne. And again, he does spike up from time to time, and I'm excited to see his road here because it feels like he has been putting some more time into StarCraft in recent months. He has been putting in, or he has been on that grind set in these ESL Open Cups, and I'm ready to bear witness here to him really flourish, especially the up-and-coming season of ESL Masters. As we did cover the qualifiers over the weekend, ESL Masters Winter is a couple of weeks away, and Wayne, definitely one to keep an eye on. For now, though, we have our PvZ, and I do think that these two players are pretty comparable with each other when it comes to their respective regions, or in skill in general. And it's great to see these two regions clash here this early on in the tournament. Again, !B if you want to have a look at the bracket. We will go over the bracket ourselves after this series does conclude, and then we can just catch up on everything. We can keep up with everyone, and oh boy, it's it's pretty insane that they have to face off so early on. I believe this is the round of 16 already the round of 16. Until then, though, Probe is going to be dipping on in, just getting a bit of a scat off. Again, it was a hatch gas. We'll standard opener at a Wayne. Likewise, Trigger going for a gate expand into a cyber core as well, into a star gate opener. Tis what we should expect. Tis going to be Oracle first out of Trigger. Let us go. I should be Oracle first. Again, Trigger, he isn't really one to really mix things up too much. I believe we have seen Trigger go a Stargate opener into a third base into Twilight Council and Glaives. That has occurred in the past, but that's like as aggressive as he gets. I don't remember the last time the Trigger went for a Twilight Council opener straight up. I don't think that's something that he really does rely on, or really does gamble with, just because it can be a gamble to try to be that aggressive in a PvZ. Just because you put so much onus on yourself to get damage done, less so when it comes to a more normal, straight up standard game. Meanwhile, here we go, the Lings, they do alright, they go straight for the probe, up, and they will get the probe in the end. We get a surround on the Adept as well. The Oracle forced to turn back around, but by the time it does, the Adept goes down. Really good timing and really good Ling counter attack here from Wayne. It doesn't force the overcharge yet, but there we go. We do force the pulsar beam. We get another kill on a second probe as well. A big delay here on the third base. These are little wins that do slowly add up. So 2 probes, an Adept, and a big delay on the third. And we even force the activation of the pulsar beam as well. So very nice damage done here by Wayne. And we'll see if Trigger can get any counter damage. Again, his aggression his harassment has been delayed just because of all those Lings, and we already have the Queens in a position. The Oracles, they head straight for the third base. No Spore in position, and drones are going down. 4 workers in total. A good start here for Trigger. He's looking for some more. We have a Spore on the way in the main base. Spore finishing up here at the natural. Queens are in position. More damage should not be done, but that's a big should, as of course Trigger is not done. We have a third Oracle zooming across the map. Usually you leave an Oracle back at home to defend and you only harass with 2, but because of Trigger's big delay, he wants to get even more damage done, and here we go. He comes in from behind, he gets one more drone. One drone may not sound like a lot, but you know what? It does add up over time as he does take quite a bit more hold damage. Trigger has to be very careful here with his movement as the queens are looking to chase him down. Again, we have a shield battery back at home. That's why we could afford to go for that counterattack or to commit our third oracle across the map. We did invest into an earlier shield battery. As a Trigger is getting into his transition, it is going to be blink and +1. Very standard follow-up here from Trigger. Oh god! As Trigger gets a queen, and he does... No! He loses the orc! Ah! He was so close to escaping without losing any of them. He gets 2 more drones, but he takes a lot of hull damage, and 2 oracles will escape. Unfortunately for Trigger, not 3 oracles escaping. Feels bad, man. Feels bad, man. As... Oh, the oracles, they will get the hell out of there, and Trigger cannot focus on his follow-up. We mentioned it earlier, but again, it is going to be +1 blink stalkers out of Trigger. I expect to see him. Actually, he is moving out already here. Prior to blink, going to be cleaning up whatever overlords he can. Again, he will have oracles to support himself, so he is under no danger of lings. If lings try to surround these stalkers, there are the oracles to activate that pulsar beam and to support. Again, really bold. Oh no! No! Bit of miscontrol. A bit of miscontrol out of Trigger. He does move a little bit too far forward and he loses a second oracle. Ay, ay, ay. This was supposed to be a safe move to be able to dip onto creep, clear up these tumors, and get the hell out of there. But alas, it was not once again. It was not for free. An oracle went down. We're down to only a single oracle remaining. Trigger, again, he's just dipping. He's just testing the waters. Trigger doesn't want to commit. Even with +1 blink finishing up, we're transitioning into a robotics bay. We're getting into Colossus production and a 4th base. Trigger, he's just applying some pressure here. He doesn't want to force the issue. Doesn't want to lose anything too quickly. Up. Doesn't get a roach. Good blinks coming in from Trigger, avoiding disaster, avoiding any stalker kills for the most part, as he does preserve all of his units. Oh, 1 stalker does go down. Lings coming from behind, and another stalker will fall. Good pickups here from Wayne. Behind this, we have a Hydra, and Hydras are on the way. So Roach, Hydra going to be the composition of choice. We did commit into +1 range. We did commit into Roach speed. So yeah, an interesting composition here out of Wayne. I imagine he wants to try to slowly ease his way off of Roaches and more into Hydras, as an Oracle does dip in towards that natural base to get a couple more worker damage. But Sports in position. Oracle is forced out, and Trigger has to back off. Now, as he backs off, we still only have a single robot producing. We should be getting a second robot momentarily. As soon as we get this 4th base up and running, we will have the economy to sustain double robot production. Temple Archives is on the way as well. A scout comes in, and Wayne will see everything in the main. Even contaminates the... Oh my... Papi. Even contaminates the forge as well, just to delay those upgrades, just to be a nuisance here in the side of Trigger. As Trigger's attempting to get into a splash damage. Again, we still don't have Storm. We still have, I believe, 1 Colossus coming out. And 1 Colossus is pretty powerful. And we can see Trigger getting ready here at this 4th base. We have 2 cannons, shield batteries, pylons on the way. Even a Phoenix to help with some anti-air question mark, as the Phoenix does take a lot of hits. And here we go. Wayne, he does push on forward. Good concave here out of the Zerg player. Overcharge putting in a lot of work, but it is being focused on by these Hydras. And Wayne, he's just gaining too much ground. Trigger has to concede this base. Very saturated base. Workers are falling. The Nexus will go down. Trigger has a pretty strong standing army, but he has to back off. He has to respect this concave, and he will lose the base. Again, only a single Colossi. He has to back on. Not good focus fire. The Colossus goes down. Second Colossus does appear, but again, only 1 Colossus at a time. Not too much splash damage. The Roach is tanking a lot of hits here, pushing on forward, getting some of the Colossus once again, and he takes it down. And with that, that's all the splash damage. Only Stalkers do remain, and Wayne, he's getting out of control. He broke the 4th base, and he'll be breaking this 3rd base as well. Trigger just barely not ready in time. It looks like with these blinks, he is going to be able to trade well against this army, but there's barely anything left. And Wayne is getting into that mineral line as he closes the distance, and he gets off the Stalkers once again. That is the second overcharge here of the fight. That's how long it's been going. But alas, it is still not going to be enough. The Biles connect. Shield battery does go down. Wayne, he backs off. He doesn't want to overextend, but he can still take down the 3rd. As the workers, they get into... Sorry, the Lings, they get into the mineral line. GG gets called. And Wayne will take game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. Ooh, a solid start here for Wayne. Again, just building himself up, really able to secure his bases. Oh, I just realized my... Hold on. Where are my cams? Un momento, papi, un momento. Ben. I said bet, yeah. Here we're back, papi, we're back. Oh. Gonna have to fix that. But regardless, we're getting into game number 2, and again, a really solid. Oh, hopefully, we're not missing anyone, but a really solid start here for Wayne. I almost called him Vanya. For Wayne in the end. Again, able to build himself up, get up to 70 workers, and then just pull the trigger. Trigger just barely not ready in time. Again, I was surprised to see that he didn't go double robo production. He went single robo into Templar Archives, which did delay his Colossus production, which is why he only had 1 Colossus for that attack, when we would usually be having around 2 by that time. Again, Trigger maybe hoping to keep his opponent at bay a little bit longer with his Stalkers. Just making sure everything is ready. All right, and as we get into our second game, and spawning in the top right hand corner of Radis's station, we have the red Zerg player representing Starlight's Twinkle, leading the series 1-0. It is Wayne. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Canadian Protoss player representing Team Basilisk. It is Trigger. And I'm concerned. We are on Radiz's station. Bold move here. Bold move by Wayne. We have seen him on this map before. I believe it was during WTL when he was forced onto this map. But now Wayne chooses to go on this map. I say forced. It was Wayne versus... Who was he playing against? It was a Protoss player. Was it Hero? So Wayne versus Hero? We casted Wayne recently. It was within the past week where he was on Radis station. I believe it was an ESL Open Cup Americas even. You know what? I can just have a look at last week's bracket. Was it Max Packs? No, yeah, it was Dark. Yeah. So in my brain, I was about to say Wayne versus Dark, and then I'm like, wait, that doesn't make any sense in my brain. I mean... Dark, he's a Zerg player, and it wasn't a ZVZ. And then I remembered, oh, I remember now. So for those wondering, for those who were not here last week, Wayne did play against Dark, did play on Radizet Station, and did play against Protoss. All these statements were correct, and in my brain, I was trying to reconcile it. And then I remembered by looking at the bracket, oh, right, Dark off-raced. Last week, Dark played Protoss in the ESL Open Cup Americas. He did play Protoss against Wayne instead of a ZVZ, because the week before that, Wayne did beat Dark in a ZVZ as well. So it felt like Wayne had his number, and Dark was probably just didn't want to play ZVZ. And was maybe overconfident in his Protoss. And I say overconfident, but again, we saw Dark versus Wayne on Radizet Station, and Dark successfully was able to turtle up on 4 bases, get a 5th base, and get into Skytoss. And roll over Wayne. Wayne could not stop Dark with his late game Skytoss army. Wayne tried to keep up with him, tried to go to the late game alongside him, raged into like a 6-base economy into his own maxed out army, and Wayne just could not overcome and overpower the might that was Dark's late game army control in PvZ. So, bearing all that in mind, I am once again concerned. I'm getting flashbacks here of that previous series, but maybe I shouldn't, because Trigger is going for a Twilight Council opener, and he's being scouted. Okay, bold move. So, if you remember, coming into this series, I was saying how, like, Trigger, he usually doesn't go Twilight Council. He usually goes Stargate. He plays Standard for the most part. So after being down in this series, Trigger is going to mix it up, but he gets scouted immediately. We have pulled out a gas. This is going to be 4 gate glaive adepts. 2 more gateways going to get thrown down. And there it is, glaives are on the way. So this isn't all in. And what I will say, now that I think about it, I think I like this. I think I like this on the map. 3rd base is being taken from Wayne, and we have a Roach one on the way. The reason why I say that is because specifically on Radizet Station, you get a 3rd base for free. So you can go for what's sometimes dangerous about going 4 gate glaive adept is that if you don't do enough damage, you cannot hold on to your 3rd. Like, your 3rd base is so vulnerable and so exposed because you're so vulnerable to a counterattack of Roach Ling, right? Especially if the Zerg player, the defending Zerg player, defends too well. So things can go south very quickly for the Protoss. But because you get a free 3rd base on Radizet Station, Trigger, he's free to like execute like this 4-gate Blink Stalker and be greedy behind it. And I say 4-gate Blink Stalker, it's 3-gate Blink Stalker without a robo. So this is a more economic variation. This isn't the first time we've seen this. I remember we casted this maybe 1-2 weeks ago, and I was very perplexed. I was like, what's going on? I think it was Lorimber saying that like, no, yeah, some of the Protoss players are doing this nowadays, where it's very uncommitted glaives, even more so than before, where it's only 3 gates, no robo, which means no warp prism, which means we walk across the map, and with the money that we would have spent on tech and all this stuff, we just get a faster third base, going for +1, Forge, a much faster transition out of this from Trigger as well. Now, we still invest into Adept, so this still needs to get damage done, don't get me wrong, but it has to get even less damage than normal, just because we're already working on the next step. And here we go. I mean, Trigger, he does, of course, roaches out of his opponent. We have a Spine Crawler on the way in at the third base, and we do commit to the shader. 2 Adepts do shade in towards that third. 1 drone goes down, 2 drones, and we are getting damage done already. 9 workers going down here as we have 2 more Adepts in the natural base as well. Trigger, this is already more than enough. 11 workers go down. Trigger taking a massive worker lead, and he splits off his Adepts once again. 2 in the natural, 2 into the main base. The ones in the main are going to be going down, but the ones in the natural, they wreak havoc. 14 workers go down. Very clean control out of Trigger to be able to split off 2 Adepts in each of those mineral lines multiple times. Very clean control out of Trigger, and suddenly he's in a commanding position. Now, the Overseer Scout does confirm the follow-up, does confirm that it's a Forge, as of course another upgrade researching of the Twilight Council. Oh, we are going all in. This does make sense. Wayne, he's too far behind. He knows that he lost too much. He knows that he cannot macro out of this, especially on Radisson Station. So we have to double down here and go all in. Now, what's concerning? No scout. Oh, sorry, no vision. This Overseer is moving out across the map. We have the roaches from the ground, which is spotted here by the hallucination, and Trigger has to get ready. Do we have a shield battery? We do not. Shield battery is overcharged. These are things we're going to need here if we want to defend. Despite that, Trigger does have the high ground and some sentries. At the same time, we do have a Nidus Worm going down in the main. Trigger, he is distracted. He does not notice the Nidus. Oh. He does not notice his cannon. Shield batteries in production. Nidus Worm will finish up. The Queens are going to be coming out, or even Roaches, whatever we can. As we do bust into that pocket base. At the same time, Wayne coming in from behind as well. Collapsing on this position. It looks like Trigger, he can fight one army, but he can't quite keep up with both as Wayne goes straight into the main. Nidus gets taken out, but we have another Nidus on the main. Oh, sorry, on the way. Roach is slipping into the main base as well. Nova goes up. Oh, only getting 1 Roach, and this is getting a bit out of hand. We haven't dealt any critical economic damage yet, but we are getting there, or are we? Trigger, amongst all this chaos, he's actually doing well for himself. He's actually keeping up. He has barely lost anything. He's trading army here, but these are acceptable losses. Yeah, and Wayne, he's just bleeding out Roaches, Ravagers. A good effort here to try to pull apart his opponent, but alas, it is not going to be enough. Everything goes down, and Trigger does hold. Trigger maintains his worker lead. He maintains his base count. His army is looking solid. He did lose Disruptors, though. You can see here, 2 Disruptors went down. That is the value that Wayne got. Resetting the Disruptor count. But on top of that, like, we still have a lot of droning to do. We have to get a 4th base. We have to tech on up. We have an infestation bit on the way. That's going to be for Hive Tech, for Vipers, to deal with said Disruptors. And I would say that Trigger is still in a leading position. Ooh. But things got really crazy there for a minute. Things got real intense. Oh. I do appreciate this. I like the idea of, oh my god, we are going for Swarm Hosts. That is what the infestation build is for. Swarm Hosts are on the way. I was about to say that I like the idea of going for these Nidus Swarms and just spreading creep. Just like, you know, injecting a couple of queens, spreading creep. You know, we have another Nidus here, spread more creep, that sort of thing. But yeah, we are going to be going for Swarm Host Harass instead. Which is okay. It can do well. Ooh, this Nidus is going to be able to finish up in time. Stalkers are in position. They take down one of the Nidus Worms, but the other is finished, and the Swarm Hosts are on the way. Oof. And Trigger, for the time being, does not know what is going on. Locust Wave is going to be diving on that base, and this Nexus is going to go down. No shield battery, no overcharge, no cannons, no nothing. And Trigger will lose a base for free. Actually free. Oh my god, the pylons go down as well. Supply blocking Trigger, and Trigger, he did so well for himself. He did so well at defending in this game, getting ahead as well, dealing economic damage, and now he is struggling. We do have a Nidus into the main base. It will not, we won't really commit to it, but we don't need to. We have more Swarmers on the way, and from here we can lay siege upon the natural. True, this is a position that is abusable, and we can go straight for the natural base from here. We can go for the economy or for the Nexus itself, and yeah, may as well just go for the base. Goes for the pylons and the base as well. Nervous will go off. At the same time, Ling Ravager hitting the 4th base, and Trigger is being pulled apart. This Nexus will go down. And Trigger just cannot keep up. Not anymore. Nidus Swarm back into the main base. Trigger throwing down the Stargate. Looks like he wants to maybe try to get into Sky Toss from this point. He's able to keep up with this Nidus at least, but Wayne has maxed out. Nova's going to be going off as well, not quite connecting. And this Locust Wave can go straight for the army. Up! Up! Decent Nova. But there it is. We do focus down. One Disruptor already. Locust Wave does get picked up. But here comes the rest of the Roach Ravager, and all we have to do is deny this hatchery, deny this Nexus. That's all we have to do. The base, that's a kill, not a cancel. It looks like the Roach Ravager is going to get cleaned up for the most part. Will we get the Disruptors? No! The Disruptors go down. And again, Trigger, he will clean up the Roach Ravager, but at what cost? At the cost of all of his Disruptors. And now Trigger has to go all in. He's been losing far too much, far too many bases. Locust Wave coming back in once again. Sending a wave towards the army, towards the mineral line. Oof. 3 workers already do go down. And the Nidus Swarms, they just don't stop. Behind this Wayne, he doesn't have the best economy, but he has enough to sustain himself. Lurker Den on the way to get into Lunkers back at home. The Nidus, no! It's gonna go down. A big pickoff here for Trigger. He does catch the Swarm Hose. Good moves here out of Trigger. He is still in this. Catching 10 Swarm Hose. And now we can collapse on this Roach army. Again, no Ravagers, no Lings, no Banelings. The Roaches on their own, they don't fare well. And Trigger, things suddenly swing in his favor. He can chase this army down. Oh. As Wayne is racing back home. Lurker Den is done. We need Lunkers. We need Lurkers to survive. Without them, Trigger is going to just roll over him. 1 Lurker in production. Lunkers, they're good units, don't get me wrong, but one of them is not going to be enough. Again, Trigger, he had such a lead early on. He almost lost it, but now he is getting it back. There is detection with this army. He doesn't force the issue. He doesn't push in, which means Wayne, he's surviving. He's maxing out. Again, his army is inflated because of all these roaches. Not the highest quality army, but slowly becoming more refined. Trigger, he backs off. He's like, you know what? I don't have to force the issue. I could just get into Sky Toss. That is true. Fleet Beacon, 2 more Stargates on the way. Sky Toss is coming for Trigger. Now, the name of the game, the win condition for Trigger is to survive. To survive long enough to get into his Sky Toss composition. Wayne is going for his own counterattack. Now, he does have some Vipers. He has 2 Vipers with his army. By that, I mean 2 Vipers back at home, actually. So, without the Vipers, I don't know if we can really push in. We have Lurkers, yes, and we do have Lurker range. Up! So, you have to be careful with how we push in. And Nova goes off, does connect, does ship 1 of those Lurkers. There it is. Once again, Wayne pushing on forward. Likewise, Nidus in towards the pocket base. Overcharges both the lurkers. They're edging on ever closer. And there may just be too many lurkers here for Wayne. Up. Gets the High Templar as well. Overcharge is about to run out. Good Nova. Takes down 2 lurkers. Nothing quite in that Nidus. Not yet. And again, these disruptors are putting in a lot of work. Taking down 2 more lurkers with the target firing. Only 2 disruptors survive. The Roach is a bit of an overextension here out of Wayne. Throwing away a lot of Roaches at the same time, though. He does get into that third base of a Trigger with the Roaches, with the Hydras. And even with the Skytoss transition coming, Trigger, he is struggling to hold on to his economy. The Nidus Swarm's completely pulling him apart, and this Nexus is going to go down. The Disruptors! No! 1, 2 of them go down. Big pickoffs here for Wayne. I don't think we should want to reveal our hand, but it's too late. The carrier is revealed. We need to. And Wayne is trying to break Trigger here and now, forcing his way in towards the natural. Is stack defense waiting for him though? And Trigger is barely holding on. Now, the one saving grace for Trigger, as he barely holds onto his natural, is that, again, Wayne, he's never had the best economy. He was never able to drone up past 70. He's been around 66 to 69 workers this entire time. So, sure, Wayne, he has map control and he's able to deny some bases. He himself doesn't have the biggest bank, but he gets into one of the carriers. He takes down a carrier. Oh, overextension out of Trigger. He's going to lose another carrier. Almost barely keeps it alive. Ay, ay, ay. Trigger does have Storm. He just needs time. As he loses an Archon as well. And it looks like Trigger, he may just not have enough to deal with this. Even though Hydras, they're not the best unit against Skytoss. I mean, Skytoss is just one carrier at this point, since we have a good Storm. Oh my god. Massive Storm on the army. The Viper as well gets picked off. A bit of an overextension out of Wayne now, and this is getting very scrappy. This is still very close between our 2 players. Trigger, he may have lost his pocket base, but he's expanding elsewhere, and Wayne has no idea. He sees a pylon and a shield battery. He's got an idea. And there we go. Lings should be heading in that direction. Likewise, we see Trigger rotating around as well. Getting in position. Stalker's ready for any kind of night display. Lurkers in production as well. Looking at the units tab, we have 1 lurker. We're soon to have 5. We're mainly relying on a Hydra-based army. And this is scary because sure, there are a lot of Hydras, which is cool, but we have a lot of Storms. We have a 6 High Templar, each with at least 1 Storm. One of them a little bit less so, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Speaking of 2 Storms throw down, oh my god, he walks into them. Big connections. Good yoink on that carrier. But those Hydras are very soft. Oh my, very softened up. Viper goes down. Wayne takes massive Storms to the face. Now these lurkers, they are holding the line. And Wayne is going to have to back off. Behind this, he's now saturating his base. Is now to 71 workers. He can sustain himself. Oh my god. Massive Storms and feedbacks. Wayne taking some big hits, but he's getting back into those lurkers. And the reality is that lurkers are king in this situation. What do lurkers struggle against? Skytoss. What do we not have? Skytoss. We have the production, we have the tech, but we do not have the economy. Trigger not quite able to get into those carriers. Now he has to push into lurkers. Ay, ay, ay. The High Templar taking a lot of hits. Only 3 High Templar remain. And this may just be 2 High Templar remain. 1. And soon to be 0. No more Storms coming in for Trigger. He has run out of steam. GG gets called, and Wayne is able to take the series 2-0, eliminating Trigger from the tournament. GG. Whew. GG, well played. That was quite a ride. It was very back and forth. A very back and forth game there. At times, Trigger had momentum and had the lead, and then Wayne got it, then Trigger had it again. It went back and forth between the two of them. But of course, at the end of the day, Trigger just was not able to really maintain his economy to actually make use of his tech and his production. Again, if you recall, he had gotten into triple Stargate production to get into carriers, and he just couldn't quite afford that, couldn't get away with that, just because he was losing base after base. It was a really desperate move out of Wayne to go into a fail, or to try to recover from a failed Nidus all-in. Like, Trigger's defense there was actually really impressive. Very impressive how Trigger was able to minimize his losses and clean up the Nidus all-in. But the Swarm Hosts, they really did pave the way for Wayne to get another base up and running and to maintain himself and to be able to, yeah, pull himself back into that game. Very well done. GG, well played.